Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll solve some problems on inverse trigonometric functions. Before going to the problem section, let us recap what we have done so far. So the important thing is the domain and range of the inverse trigonometric functions. Let's say we have sine inverse of x. Its domain and range. Let's write this. So we have grouped sine inverse of x, tan inverse of x, and cosecant inverse of x as one group, and cos inverse of x, cot inverse of x, and secant inverse of x as another group. So the domain of because we have grouped in this way because of some pattern. So these three will follow one pattern, and these three will follow the other pattern. The pattern they follow is like this. The domain of sine inverse of x is -1 to 1. Tan inverse x is complete real number. Cosecant inverse is it is complete real number except numbers between -1 to 1. The range is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 in a closed interval. So here it is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 in an open interval, because tan pi by 2 and tan pi by 2 and tan minus pi by 2 is not defined. Cosecant inverse x is minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 except 0. Similarly, for cos inverse of x, it is -1 to 1, complete real number except numbers from -1 to 1. The range of cos inverse of x is 0 to pi, and range of cot inverse x is 0 to pi in an open interval. Secant inverse x is 0 to pi except pi by 2, because secant pi by 2 is not defined. And finally, we can add one more column, like the quadrant in which the solution exists, or we can write solution quadrant. Since this is minus pi by 2 pi by 2, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and minus pi by 2 pi by 2, so if you draw the quadrants like this, then this is pi by 2, this is minus pi by 2. So from here to here, so it is quadrant first and fourth. Next we have 0 to pi, so this is 0, this is pi, so 0 to pi, the quadrants are first and second. So this is important for us to proceed with problems. Finally, we discuss one more concept, like if I have sine inverse of x. So here this x can take values between -1 to 1, because sine inverse of x exists between -1 to 1. The domain is -1 to 1. So in the same way, if I write sine inverse first and sine x up inside this, then this x here, this x must belong to this. Here the x must belong to minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. For example, if I have sine inverse of let's say 1.5, then this value does not exist. Because this does not come in the interval -1 to 1. And one more example we can take, one tricky example we can take, that is, if I have sine inverse of pi by 3, usually what we do is we cancel these two and write answer as pi by 3, but it is not so, because here sine inverse of pi by 3, we have to check this like this. Pi is 3.14 and this is 3, so 3.14 divided by 3 is greater than 1, so this does not come in the interval -1 to 1. So sine inverse of pi by 3 does not exist. It does not exist. But if I have the same problem, if I have in this way, that is sine inverse of sine pi by 3, then I can easily cancel these two and write the answer pi by 3, because we know the value of sine pi by 3, which is sine 60, which is root 3 by 2. So in the next video we'll solve some problems on this. Thanks for watching.